Hi, my name is Robert Larson. I'm an attorney and I'm also the owner of the Larson Law Office in Mesa, Arizona. And I focus primarily on family law and estate planning and also some personal injury work. And today's May 2nd, and it's a reminder to me that anybody who's going through a divorce with children or a custody case needs to have a schedule in place or at least some kind of plan for what they're going to do during the summer. And so the summer's coming up here very quickly. By the end of the month, school will be out, and you need to know what you're going to do with your children as far as whether you're going to maintain the same schedule or do something different for the summer. And so for people who already have established parenting plans, they probably already have that in place, but they should be looking at making modifications if that's appropriate as well. So as far as I can tell from my experience, I've identified 5 different options that people do typically when it comes to summer. So I'll just go through those real quick. First is you just keep the same schedule. And this usually works fine when you have a situation where you're either sharing equal parenting time, whether it's a week on, week off schedule, or whether it's a 5225 or 223, whatever schedule you have. If it's pretty much equal and the kids are spending frequent time with both parents, then a lot of times there's no need to change it during the summer. If you're going to have that kind of schedule, though, you want to have something in your parenting plan that defines what your rights are when it comes to vacation with the children. So, in other words, if you're not going to change your schedule during the summer and you have frequent exchanges, you might need to put some vacation time in there. So, in other words, your parenting plan might say that each parent has the right to 1 week um, vacation with the children, or maybe it's 2 weeks, or maybe it's two 1 week vacations. Whatever it is, you want to make sure that you have the details in your parenting plan that describe what kind of vacation time you have. Sometimes you don't have to do that. Like if you're doing a week on, week off schedule, you might just figure that's enough time for vacations and you don't need to put specific vacation plans in there. But you want to make sure that you've at least thought through that and put the plans in place if you're going to have vacation time or not. A second one would be you basically reverse what you're doing during the school year. So this would be a situation where, let's say the children are with one parent during the weekdays, or in other words, the school days, and then they have weekends with the other parent. So whether it's every weekend or every other weekend or 3 weekends out of the month, whatever it is, you would reverse that during the summer. And these kinds of schedules are common when you have some distance between the parents, but it's not so far, like it's not out of state or anything. It's just a little bit far. Let's say the parents live 50 miles apart. Um, not uncommon around here. Sometimes you have someone who lives in Queen Creek and the other parent lives in Surprise. It's not really close enough to do 50-50, especially with school, but it's not so far that you can't do weekends on a regular basis. So in a situation like that, sometimes people reverse the schedule during the summer. So if the kids are with mom during the school week and then they go to their dad's on whatever weekends per month, you would reverse that in the summer. And again, if you're going to do that, you probably want to put in place some rights for vacation time. A third option is sometimes people just do a week on and week off. And like I said, some people might already be on a week on, week off schedule. So that would fall under that first category that I mentioned, where you just keep the schedule the same. But other people do have a schedule where the children are primarily with one parent and spend weekends or something with the other parent. And then since summer is a little bit easier when it comes to transporting kids, because obviously you don't have to take them to school and there's usually less activities. So in that situation, a lot of times parents will just do a week on and a week off. And that's one way of having less frequent exchanges. The kids get each time frequent time with both parent during the summer, and also um, for the parent who mostly only gets the kids on weekends and school breaks, that's a way of kind of catching up on some parenting days as well. And again, if you have the week on and week off during the summer, then that kind of builds in the vacation time as well. Usually you don't have to um, give extra time for vacation because people can just do that on the week on and week off schedule. Another option, and these are more typical of long distance, but another option is you can just divide the summer in half. So one parent gets the first half of summer and the other parent gets the second half of summer. And the advantages here are obviously they get to spend a significant amount of time continuously with each parent, and there's not very many exchanges. Again, like I said when I introduced this schedule, this is typically more people who are either living in different states, or at least a pretty significant distance, even if they're within Arizona. So these are pretty typical of long distance plans. And again, obviously, if you have half of the summer broken up, you don't need to provide for vacation time because that's enough time to do whatever vacation you want to do. Another one is, again, this is more of a long distance situation, and this is where the children would spend the majority of summer with another parent. So let's say the kids are with their dad during the school year in Arizona, and they're going to go spend the summer with their mom in a different state. And so instead of splitting it in half, in this situation, they would spend the majority of the summer break with the mother in whatever state that may be. And when you do something like that, typically most people don't do it like from the day after school until the day before school. Most people want to at least have a week somewhere, so that even if you're the parent who has the children during the majority of the year, you still want to have some kind of ability to do a vacation with the children during the summer. And so usually there's going to be a week somewhere, whether it's at the beginning of the summer or at a week at the end, where that parent can maybe go on a trip and see family or do something fun. So usually you want to provide something like that, even if you're going to do this majority of the summer type of schedule. Also, most parents like to get the kids back at least a few days or even a week before school starts. So if you're going to do the majority of summer, usually it's more like a week after school starts and maybe a week before school starts again. Right, I think I said that wrong. A week when school gets out, and then maybe a week before school starts. So anyway, there's a lot of variation, and it depends. One thing you should always do when you're figuring this out is you should always make sure you get the school schedules from your school districts. So you go to the kids' school districts and you download the calendar and you figure out exactly when school starts and ends, because some schools around here only have about about 9 weeks, and some of them have more of 2.5 months for summer. So it makes a difference on what kind of schedule you want to do. But anyway, those are kind of the typical summer parenting time plans that I see, and you can always do something else, but those are usually those schedules that I just mentioned probably account for at least 99% of the summer parenting schedules that I see. So anyway, hopefully this was helpful for you if you're looking for ideas on what to do during summer. But if you have any comments, please let me know. I'd be happy to respond. And if you found this helpful, make sure to like the video and subscribe so you can get more. Thanks.